All right, today we're going to break down one of the most technically demanding parts of a colonoscopy, navigating the sigmoid colon. Seriously, if you want to level up your game, this is exactly where you start.
You ask that question, and the answer, more often than not, really comes down to how you handle that very first challenge you run into. It's not just about getting to the end. It's about the control, the finesse, the skill you show right from the get-go.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The sigmoid colon. It's this mobile, kind of free-floating segment of the bowel. And because it can move around so much, when you advance the scope, it's almost guaranteed to fold back on itself. It creates these loops that stretch the colon, which can cause pain and, make it incredibly difficult to get anywhere.
To really master the sigmoid, you first have to understand what you're up against. Think of it like knowing your opponent. See, loop formation isn't just random. It actually follows some very predictable patterns. Figuring out which type of loop you're looking at is the absolute key to fixing it. And you're really only going to see three main types.
First up is the N loop, sometimes called the spiral loop. And let me tell you, this is the big one. This is the source of most of the headaches, the pain, and the frustration that can pop up during a colonoscopy.
What's really interesting here is that the patient's own anatomy is what sets up this problem. Either they have a short mesentery or their descending colon is fixed really low in the pelvis. Either way, it forces the scope into this super sharp hairpin turn. And here's the critical part. Unlike other loops we're going to talk about, you have to get rid of this one. There's no pushing through it.
Straightening an N loop. This is a fundamental skill. The second you lose that one-to-one control, where your hand movements aren't matching what the tip is doing, you stop pushing. The classic move is actually pretty simple and elegant. You pull back gently while putting on a firm clockwise twist. And what's cool is you'll actually see the tip start to advance as that loop straightens out.
Okay, let's move on to our next loop. And this is where things get interesting, because believe it or not, this one can actually be a good thing. This is the alpha loop, and just recognizing it can save you a ton of time and effort.
An alpha loop is pretty rare. We're talking it only forms in about 10% of cases. It usually happens when the sigmoid is on a nice, long, flexible mesentery, which lets it twist easily without creating one of those sharp, painful bends.
And this quote just nails it, because the alpha loop makes this gentle open curve you can often just fly right through. You can advance the scope rapidly, painlessly, sometimes getting all the way to the splenic flexure without even needing to straighten the loop first. It's fantastic when you see one.
So, this is so important. You have to know when not to act. The classic rookie mistake with an alpha loop is trying to fix it too early. If you do that, you can actually twist it back into one of those nasty N loops. The right move is to just embrace the loop. Advance deep into the colon, get to where you need to go, and only then do you withdraw with a strong clockwise turn to straighten everything out.
And finally, we have the most counterintuitive one of them all, the reversed alpha loop. I'm telling you, this one can really throw you for a loop, pun intended, if you're not ready for it.
So why does this happen? Well, it turns out that in at least 15% of people, there are these little anatomical variations in how the colon is attached, and that can force the scope into this weird anti-clockwise spiral, the exact opposite of what you normally see.
Now, just like a standard alpha loop, a reversed one often lets you pass through pretty easily. So the scope feels like it's advancing just fine, no resistance. The critical difference, though, is that the mechanics are completely backward. The spiral is going the wrong way.
You have to remember this. Your standard clockwise torque is going to do absolutely nothing here. In fact, it could make it worse. To get rid of a reversed alpha loop, you have to apply a strong anti-clockwise twist when you pull back. I know, it feels wrong, but trust me, it's the only way it'll work. So how do you put this all together in the real world? What do you do when you feel that one-to-one movement disappear, but you're not totally sure which kind of loop you're dealing with? Well, let's build a simple, really effective troubleshooting plan.
Okay, think of this table as your playbook. You've lost control. What's step one? You try the most common fix, withdraw with clockwise torque. If that doesn't do it, hey, maybe you've got a reversed alpha on your hands, so you try anti-clockwise. Still stuck? Time to change the patient's position. And, as a last resort, sometimes a very firm, decisive push can get you through that tough spot.
One of your most powerful tools isn't even part of the scope. It's simple, targeted hand pressure right on the abdomen. It basically acts as an external wall. It physically stops the sigmoid from bowing out, which shrinks the loop and helps send more of your pushing force straight to the tip. It is an absolute game changer.
And really, this is what it all comes down to. The goal is to move beyond just reacting to loops after they've already formed. True mastery is all about anticipation. It's about feeling the scope,
watching that insertion length, and applying a little torque or some hand pressure before a loop even has a chance to fully form.
By understanding the distinct personalities of these three loops, the difficult N, the helpful alpha, and the tricky reversed alpha, you can turn the hardest part of the procedure into a real demonstration of skill and control. It's not about brute force, it's about reading the colon and responding with the perfect technique. So the real question is your next procedure going to be reactive or is it going to be anticipatory?